Hello everyone, it's Gordon from Up North Biker here, and I've got a floppy one. Very floppy. So I'm going to show you how to tighten your chain and make sure that wheel's aligned. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. So the tools I'm using today, I've got my wrench with the right size nut for the back. On my bike, you adjust the chain using an Allen key, tape measure to measure the slack, and this is the tool I use to align the wheels. A lot of people ask about how do you make sure your wheel's in alignment when you've had the wheel off or whatever. There's a million and one ways. There's complicated bits with steel bars run at the front of the bike or pieces of string. I use one of these and I'll show you what that is in a minute. But the first thing we're going to do is measure how much slack there is on this chain. Right, first thing you do is you find the midpoint of your chain. So you want to go from the front sprocket, which on this bike is somewhere here, to the middle of your rear axle. So if I measure from around about here to here, that's 70 centimeters, so I want to be 35. And this point here is where I'm measuring my chain slack. So your manual will tell you what that should be, and on mine it's supposed to be between 0.8 and 1.2 inches. So this is sitting at about 2.5 inches, and if you look at that, that's a full 1.5 inches. So that needs to be sort of only this much movement. So it won't take much to tighten that up. We're going to loosen the axle off so I can use the chain adjusters. So we'll loosen this. I'm not going to make it very loose, just enough so that these can pull the wheel. Right, bit of muscle power needed to get that rear nut undone. So that was probably a full turn of the nut that I've loosened off, and that's actually all you need. I will be able to adjust the chain from there. So if your chain is already in line when you start doing this, the easiest way is to make the same adjustment on both sides. And that way, if you do 1/4 of a turn on each, when you come to test if your chain is actually straight, if the wheels are in alignment, if they were when you started, they should be when you finished. So I'm going to put this at 90 degrees roughly, and then I'm going to move it up there, and that's 1/4 of a turn. Do exactly the same on this side. Right, so that's been 1/4 of a turn on each. Has that made much difference on here? Yes, it has. So we're probably spot on there now. That's just below the 2, just below the 1 on the tape measure. So that was just literally 1/4 of a turn. Got that where it needs to be. Now, is it in line? This is where I use this tool. So this little tool here, I'll put a link to it in the description. It wasn't very expensive, but you can play with your cat as well if you've got a pet cat. It's just a laser pointer, but it's machined so that that laser comes out at 90 degrees to this surface along the bottom. And the way you use this is to put this onto your rear sprocket, on a flat part of your rear sprocket, and then you can follow the dot along your chain and see if it's moving at all. So that's sort of on the inside of the chain, and it's pretty much, I don't know if you can follow that, it's pretty much the same distance all the way along, meaning that is the rear sprocket is in line with the front sprocket, which is how the bike's designed to be. If that was running off to one side, then you would need to make a further adjustment to either the right or the left. So if it was pointing in, then you need to pull this part of the wheel back, and if it was pointing out, you need to pull this side of the wheel back to square it up. That is a real simple tool. Now, it might not mean your wheels are in perfect alignment if there's a problem with your sprockets, but normally they're not. They're flush to the wheel. The front sprocket's flush to where it should be. By design, that should be in line, meaning your wheels should be in line. So a simple device like this can take a lot of worry out of tightening your chain. If you've got your wheels out of alignment, you'll notice it when you're if you take your hands off the handlebars, the bike will start turning, and it'll turn by quite a bit if they're even a little bit out of alignment. So it's quite easy to tell when you've got that problem. If you over tighten your chain and you need to push that wheel forward to loosen it off, then the only way I know to do that is to completely loosen this axle off so your wheel is loose, and then I stick a screwdriver in against the sprocket and shove the wheel round, and it jams the sprocket at the bottom, which forces the wheel to go forwards, and then you tighten this up a little bit and then readjust your chain. But the best bet is do it in quarter turns till you've got your chain right, and then you'll never have the problem of over tightening. So that was it really. I'm just going to tighten this back up. Hope you found that useful. If you did, then give it a thumbs up, give it a like. And if you like this kind of stuff, why not hit the subscribe button? And I'll see you again in the next one. I'd love to have you along. Gordon from North Biker signing out.